You were not born to beg. And yet, here you are asking life for permission to be who you already are. You sit with your shoulders slumped like a man on trial, waiting for the world to declare you worthy. But the verdict never comes, because worth is not granted. It is declared, and kings who forget their crown live like servants. Let me tell you something sacred. Not soft, not polite, not repeated on podcasts. You were meant to reign, but not in the way you think, not with gold, not with applause, not even with ease. You were meant to reign over yourself, your urges, your doubts, your distractions, your fear, and until you do, the world will continue to rule over you. Look around you. This life you've been tolerating, this numb routine, this quiet resignation, this hunger you've been feeding crumbs, it was never your throne. You were meant for more. But more is not coming. Not unless you rise. Not unless you burn. Because this life isn't held back by fate. It's held back by you, by your hesitation, by the lies you swallowed about your limits, by the moments you looked in the mirror and saw only a body, not a force. But let me remind you, you are not your reflection. You are the fire behind it, the storm waiting to strike, the unseen legacy buried beneath comfort. And right now in this breath, you are standing at a doorway. To one side, the slow decay of another year wasted. To the other, the sacred pain of becoming. Do not choose soft death. Do not choose small survival. Choose the path where kings are forged, the one where fear gets destroyed in the furnace of discipline. Where you stop asking life for chances and start commanding outcomes like the God you forgot you were. You think you're too late? Number. You're right on time. Because the real you has been waiting behind glass, pounding fists, watching silently as you called weakness, wisdom, and compromise maturity. You are not here to balance. You are here to break the scale, to tilt reality, to rebuild fate with your bare, bloodied hands. But first you must renounce the throne of fear, the one that made you quiet your voice, the one that made you chase comfort instead of conquest, the one that convinced you to stay seated while your soul screamed, rise. This is that moment where you either go back to sleep or wake up and never go back, because the war has already begun. And mediocrity is winning. Every scroll, every excuse, every delay, they are weapons used against your empire. They are the assassins of your potential. But now, you have a weapon too. Decision, sharper than any blade, more final than fate, more sacred than luck. Decide right now. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more permission. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. And if no one believes in you good, that makes you dangerous. Because men with nothing to lose and everything to prove become legends. So stand up in your spirit, in your spine, in your silence, not with noise, but with knowing. Say it in your chest. I was meant to reign. Not just once, every morning, until your actions match your fire, until your name makes mediocrity flinch, until your life becomes a sword that others must reckon with. This is not a speech. It's a summons to rise, to reign, to return to the throne of yourself. Now go and do not look back. There is no crown behind you, only chains. You've been taught to tame your hunger, to hide it, to dress it up in politeness, to wrap your craving in silence and shame. But let me tear that lie apart. Desire is not sin. Desire is sacred. It is the first whisper of the divine inside you telling you more is possible. Do you feel it? That tightness in your chest when you picture the life that haunts you at night? That ache in your belly when you see someone else living what you were born for? That fire that sparks and dies and sparks again but never fully disappears? That is not weakness. That is proof you are still alive. Because a man with no desire is already dead. He has just not been buried yet. Listen to me. You were never meant to starve. But they told you that hunger is dangerous. They told you to be content, to be humble, to settle. They lied. They lied to keep you small, because your desire is a threat to their comfort. They know that once a man remembers what he truly wants, he becomes unstoppable. So they made you question your own appetite. They turned ambition into arrogance and fire into pride. But hear me now. Desire is divine. The question is not, should I want more? The question is, do I want it enough to burn for it? Because this world doesn't give power to the polite. It yields to the possessed. And you, my brother, you were born to be possessed by purpose, to walk like a man with a sword behind his ribs, to breathe like the air owes you answers. But you've been asking for permission to want, waiting for the right time, the right sign, the right support. Let me tell you, the hunger itself is the sign. It is the pulse of your future calling you forward. It is the echo of your potential, banging on the walls of your mediocrity, and it will not go away. You can numb it, you can delay it, you can bury it under routine, porn, distraction, and small talk, but it will come back at night, in your dreams, in your mirror, asking, why did you abandon me? Because that fire inside you, it remembers. It remembers the boy who used to dream without limits, the boy who used to look at the sky and feel bigger than the stars, the boy who wasn't afraid to say, I want that. But now you hesitate. Now you doubt. Now you act like a beggar in the kingdom that was always yours. Let me say it clearly. Desire is holy, and you owe it your life. But there's more you haven't heard. You want it? Good. But now you must prove it. Because desire without decision is delusion. It is the illusion of movement with no commitment. It is fire with no fuel. And make no mistake, desire will demand everything from you, your sleep, your comfort, your popularity, your safety. This is not a wish, it's a war. And in war, there are sacrifices. You will lose people who do not share your hunger. Let them go. You will outgrow places that once felt safe. Leave them behind. You will look mad to the average man. Let him stare. Because the path of desire is narrow, only the possessed can walk it. And the minute you say, I want this with my whole life, the universe listens. But it doesn't respond with applause. It responds with a test. It asks, are you serious? And then it throws storms at your door. It dries up your money. It isolates you. It tempts you to go back to comfort. Why? Because every great desire must be purified through pressure. The man you are today cannot hold the life you claim to want. He must die. So let your comfort bleed. Let your old self crumble. Let your excuses scream and disappear in the fire. Because only through the furnace does a sword become worthy of its name. You say you want success? Then desire it like a starving animal, like a man locked in a burning house. And the only door is discipline. This isn't about hype. This is about hunger. Do not pray for ease. Pray for obsession, for the kind of desire that doesn't sleep, that doesn't doubt, that doesn't shut up. Because that kind of desire is dangerous. It rewrites timelines. It distorts logic. It makes the impossible kneel. And it lives inside you right now, unfed, unclaimed, unapologetic. But there's still more you must understand. Desire is not dirty, but it is wild. It is the beast inside you that you were told to muzzle. But here's the truth. The man who feeds his desire with discipline becomes divine. Not because he's moral, but because he is aligned with purpose, with fire, with his own becoming. You must learn to feed this beast, not fear it. You must teach your hunger how to serve you, not sabotage you. And the only food it craves is action. Not journaling, not vision boarding, not hoping. Action, get up, move, build, break, bleed if you have to, but do not betray the fire again. Because every time you choose fear over desire, you kill a future that could have fed you. You murder the man you were supposed to become. So now I ask you, what do you truly want? Say it. Say it out loud. Say it with tears. Say it with teeth. Say it like a sword piercing the air, because the world listens differently to a man who has decided. Stop apologizing for your hunger. Stop hiding behind your fear of failure. Stop calling your delay strategy. Your desire is your God-given map. It is not random. It is not wrong. It is sacred. And it will burn you alive if you don't feed it with fire. So today, right now, make this vow. I will no longer starve my spirit. I will no longer shrink from my own dreams. I will no longer treat desire like a disease. I will turn it into a weapon. and I will use it to carve the life I refuse to die without, because I was not born to wish, I was born to reign. And it begins with this sacred hunger. You think you've decided, but your life says otherwise. You say you're ready, but your actions still ask for delay. You speak of change, but your habits still kneel before your comfort. Let me break it clean. You have not decided. You've flirted, you've circled, you've daydreamed and discussed, but you have not crossed the line. Because real decision is violence to the old you. It is war on the middle ground. It is setting fire to every bridge that leads back to mediocrity. Most men never make it. They live on the shoreline of almost ready, almost disciplined, almost alive. But almost is a slow death, a quiet suffocation, a life diluted by hesitation. And there is nothing more dangerous than a man who thinks he's committed but hasn't cut the rope behind him. Decision is the blade, the one that separates the past from the future, the one that draws a line so deep in the earth even your fear can't crawl back across it. Have you drawn that line, really? Have you looked at your weakness, your excuses, your soft routines and said, you die now? Or have you simply rearranged your cage and called it freedom? Don't lie to yourself again. The clock is not waiting, and your potential does not negotiate. There comes a moment, sharp, brutal, final, when you stop making decisions from emotion and start making them from identity. Who are you now? That's the real question. Because once a man decides he is no longer a man, he is a weapon. But you're not there yet. Not until you burn the middle path. You cannot hold fire and water in the same hand. But that's what you've been trying to do. You want change, but you won't kill comfort. You want freedom, but you keep feeding your chain. You want the throne, but you won't bury the coward in your chest. That is not decision. That is delay in disguise. Real decision removes all other options. It is not a preference. It is not a leaning. It is not a vibe. It is a sword through the throat of maybe. It is the slamming of a door so hard your past shatters behind it. It sounds like this. I don't care what it costs. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if I bleed. I will become him, or I will die trying. Until you speak that vow with fire in your chest and steel in your spine, you are still undecided. Do you know why your life hasn't changed? Because you haven't changed you. You've changed strategies. Apps, podcasts, plans, but not decisions. Not the core, not the source. A man who truly decides becomes unrecognizable. He walks differently. He breathes like the future owes him something. He no longer needs to be motivated because fire wakes him up. And everything that used to tempt him, it starts to repulse him. Because the man who has decided feels disgust when he betrays his calling. It's not discipline anymore. It's identity. It's law. You don't touch the old life because it no longer fits your name. But until that day comes, you're still playing both sides. You've got one foot in the fire and one in the flood. But you cannot be powerful until you burn the raft that takes you back to safety. This is the line in the sand. And you must draw it with your blood. Right here in this moment, a new life begins or the old one wins. There is no middle. There is no later. There is no more thinking about it. Decision is not a thought, it's a cut. You either cut the old path from your spine or you carry it like a ghost, forever haunting your progress. You want to know why some men rise? Because they didn't give themselves a way out. They removed retreat. They declared war. They made it personal. And that's what I want from you now. Make it personal, make it holy, make it ruthless. Choose, not softly, not halfway, not when it feels right. Choose like the future is standing in front of you, and you have to either kiss it or kill it. That is how destinies begin. With one violent, sacred decision that breaks every excuse you've ever made. Do it now. Look your fear in the eye and say, you've run this house long enough. Look at your comfort and whisper, thank you, but die. Look at your dream and scream, I'm coming for you, fully, finally, forever. And then move, build, act, speak. Let the world feel the quake of a man who has decided. Because once you do, life will bend, not out of mercy, but because you gave it no other choice. The line has been drawn. Step over it and never return. You want proof. You want signs. You want to see the road before you take the first step. That's not faith. That's control in costume. Let me say it with steel. Faith wears boots. It does not float. It does not wait. It does not whisper. It marches. And you've been told faith is soft, that it lives in pews and prayers and positive thoughts. Number, faith is a soldier, dust on its face, blood in its teeth, moving forward while everyone else waits for a guarantee. Because faith doesn't ask the path to speak. It steps. It plants the flag before the map is drawn. It builds the temple while the storm is still raging. You think you need more belief? Number, you need more movement. Because the man of faith is not the one who feels confident. He's the one who shows up anyway. He shows up when it's foggy. He shows up when the bank account is silent. He shows up when the door is still locked because he knows he's the key. Faith says, even if I'm blind, I'll move. Even if I'm shaking, I'll swing. Even if I fail, I will not fold. You want to know how far your faith goes? Look at your feet. Not your mouth, not your plans, not your vibe. If your feet haven't moved, your faith is fake. It's that simple. But there's more you need to feel in your bones. Every day you hesitate, you insult the divine inside you. Every day you pause, waiting for perfect conditions. You delay the very life that's waiting for your arrival, and you tell yourself it's smart. You say, I'm waiting for the right time. I need to be sure. Let me just figure it out first. That's not strategy. That's spiritual cowardice. Because faith was never about certainty. It was about covenant. A vow between your soul and your future that says, no matter what happens, I walk through the fog, through the fire, through the fear. Because the one who walks becomes the one who sees. The world does not reward the most talented man. It rewards the most obedient man, the one who obeys his vision before it makes sense to anyone else. Let me say this as clear as stone. Faith is not a fantasy. Faith is a discipline, a choice made in the dirt, not the clouds. You must stop waiting for belief to feel good. It won't. It will feel terrifying. It will feel stupid. It will make you look insane to those who quit before they began. But faith doesn't dress for applause. It dresses for war. Boots laced, mind locked, heart awake, because the man who walks in faith walks with fire under his ribs. He doesn't pace, he moves, and every step becomes a sermon. He doesn't just talk about vision. He builds it brick by painful brick while everyone else waits for approval. You want to become him? Then move. Even if your hands shake, even if the lights are off, even if the door hasn't opened yet. Walk like it already has. Speak like it already did. Stand like you were sent. That's the soldier. That's faith. But we're not done yet. Here's the sacred truth they never told you. The map appears only when you move. Not before. Not during planning. Not in your mind. Only in motion does the next step show its face. Because faith is not a map. It's a hammer. It breaks walls. It bends time. It shatters logic. But only for the man who moves with it. The man who walks by faith does not wait for clarity. He creates clarity with action. That's why the world calls him crazy until it bows. That's why the door stays shut until it hears his footsteps. That's why the sea doesn't part until his boot hits the water. You say you want the heavens to open? Then walk into the unknown until thunder makes a path for you. This is not blind obedience. This is divine defiance. This is you becoming more dangerous than doubt, more stubborn than circumstance, more faithful than fear is loud. Because every time you move without proof, you teach the universe how to serve you. You bend reality. You break cycles. You announce your arrival to the invisible, and the invisible bows to the man who doesn't wait to be seen. You say you believe, good. Then march, build, publish, post, speak, show up. Show me your boots, not your prayers. Show me your schedule, not your vision board. Show me the sweat of your faith. Because the man who wears faith like armor is the man who makes miracles afraid of delay. You are that man. Now walk like it every day, every storm, every silence. Because your boots were made for prophecy. And every step you take rewrites the world. Fear doesn't knock on your door screaming. It doesn't wear horns or chains. It doesn't announce itself with thunder. No fear wears a tie, it carries a clipboard. And it talks like it went to business school. Let's be realistic. Now's not the right time. What if it doesn't work? You should probably wait a little longer. Fear doesn't scare you. It negotiates with you. It smiles. It leans in. It speaks in a calm, convincing voice like it's trying to protect you while quietly feeding you poison. Because fear doesn't want you dead. It wants you small, tame, predictable, stuck in the same loop thinking it's safety. Fear is the greatest salesman you'll ever meet. And business is booming. It sells comfort as wisdom. It sells delay as strategy. It sells self-doubt as maturity. And you've bought every product. You put your dreams on layaway. You shelved your fire for later. You returned your courage like it didn't fit because fear knew how to pitch it. But let me say it clear. Fear has no refund policy. Once you've paid with your time, your chances don't come back. And you keep signing contracts with fear because it sounds responsible. But responsibility without risk is just fear dressed up in adult clothes. Still think fear is your friend? Good. Then let's rip the mask off. Because what it really is a thief. And we're about to expose it. Fear rarely shouts. That would be too obvious. Instead, it whispers from behind your ribcage. You're not ready. They're already doing it better. What if they laugh? What if you lose everything? It always starts with what if. The most seductive 2 words in your ruin. Because fear doesn't destroy you with volume, it destroys you with logic. Fake logic, toxic logic. The kind that sounds smart, but leads you straight to stuck. Think about it. Fear never says, don't chase your dream. That would wake you up. No, fear says, just wait a few more months. Get a little more stable. Don't quit, just stay safe. Maybe build slowly on the side. Fear loves half commitments. It loves when you hedge. It loves when you prepare forever and execute never. Because fear knows if it can keep you planning, it never has to face you rising. And the longer you hesitate, the more fear wins. You think you're being careful, but you're being controlled. Fear is the con artist that knows your passwords. It knows your childhood wounds. It knows the exact phrase that makes you shrink. It doesn't need chains. It just needs your attention. And every time you listen, you give it another inch of your life. But there's one thing fear can't survive. Laughter. When you laugh at fear, it cracks. When you call it out, it fades. When you chase it down, it runs. Because fear has no spine. It only survives in silence. And you've been silent too long. So let's go deeper. Let's kill the salesman for good. Here's how fear sells you death. It waits until you feel ambitious. Then it shows up with a clipboard. Before you go big, let's double check a few things. Suddenly your momentum turns into research. Your energy turns into anxiety. Your clarity turns into confusion. That's not coincidence. That's the script. Fear is a script written by a coward and performed inside your skull by a voice that sounds like yours. But it's not. It's a parasite, a squatter in your mind living rent-free off your hesitation. So here's how we evict it. We stop negotiating. No more compromise, no more maybe later, no more I just need more time. Time for what? More permission? More proof? More pain? Number time is how fear feeds. The longer you wait, the stronger it gets. So stop feeding it. Start moving. Post the thing. Launch the offer. Make the call. Write the words. Burn the backup plan. Because action is the antidote. It cuts off fear's oxygen. It reminds the body that you're alive, not captive. Fear cannot follow a man who moves. It can only cling to the man who stands still. So move, even if you're shaking, especially if you're shaking. Move like the map will build under your boots. Move like your next breath depends on it, because it does. You don't have a fear problem. You have a decision problem. And once you decide that fear no longer has the mic, you take your life back. And when fear comes back tomorrow, because it will, you'll know what to do. You smile. You nod. You say, nice pitch. Not buying. And you walk away, boots on, fire-lit, unshakable, because now you know fear is not a prophet, it's a salesman. And today the store is closed. Your life is built by what you repeat, not what you dream. Not what you wish, not what you almost did, what you repeat, in thought, in word, in belief, because repetition is the ritual of reality, and every word you speak lays a brick in the kingdom you'll one day walk through. You are not thinking, you are programming. Every sentence a code, every phrase a blueprint. So let me ask you, what are you saying when no one's listening? When your guard is down, when you're brushing your teeth, when you spill the coffee, when you look at the mirror, what spell are you casting on your life? Is it, I'm tired, I always mess this up, nothing ever works for me, I'm not that kind of person? Then listen carefully. You are under hypnosis, but it's not from some mystic stranger. It's you. You are the voice. You are the priest. You are the God-whispering creation or destruction. And here's the sacred truth. Until you change the words, you will never change the world you live in, because the subconscious does not judge. It does not filter. It obeys blindly, faithfully, powerfully, and it hears everything you say. So speak as if the future is listening, because it is. But you need more than understanding. You need ritual. You need to practice the spell. Let me show you how. Autosuggestion is not a trick. It is not a trend. It is not a hack. It is alchemy, the spiritual science of reshaping the self through the fire of repetition. Here's the law. Whatever you say with emotion, with rhythm, with faith, you become. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to believe it fully. Not at first. You just need to begin the chant. Start with this. I am the man who finishes what he starts. I am disciplined even when I'm afraid. I walk with power even when I doubt. I build faster than I break. I speak only what I want repeated. I act only in alignment with who I'm becoming. Say it. Say it again. Say it when you're tired. Say it when it feels fake. Say it until the body starts believing, because the body is always listening, and the mind follows what the body rehearses. Repeat the words, and the identity will rise to meet them. This is not hope, this is instruction. You are telling yourselves how to behave. You are telling your past, you are done here. You are telling your fear, you are no longer the voice. Speak it like scripture. Whisper it like breath. Command it like law. This is your new language. This is your new temple. And every time you say it, you chisel away a piece of the man you no longer need to be. You don't rise by force. You rise by frequency. And your frequency is your voice. But there's still one layer deeper. The mind is a garden. Autosuggestion is the seed. But the soil doesn't ask if the seed is true. It just grows what it's fed. So if you've been speaking fear, you'll harvest fear. If you've been saying, I can't, you'll keep proving it. But now you change the crop. You change the spell. And here's the power move. Write your future in present tense, as if it's already done, as if the gods are waiting for your signature. Not, I hope to, not, I want to, but I am. I do. I move. I build. I command. I create. I complete. Here is your incantation. Use it. Modify it. Repeat it morning and night, not casually, ritually. The spell of becoming. I no longer identify with the man who hesitates. I no longer speak in fear's voice. My word is power. My actions match my prophecy. I am the embodiment of divine discipline. I walk with unshakable rhythm. I breathe like a king returned from war. The future obeys me because I command it daily. I speak only what I want, multiplied. I plant every word with intention. I act in alignment, not emotion. I am no longer trying. I am. Let this be your anthem. Let this be your temple bell. Let this be your secret weapon in the silent hours, because no one needs to believe in you not yet. The spell only needs one believer, you. And if you say it enough, with enough certainty, with enough rhythm, even the universe forgets who you were and starts responding to who you declare yourself to be. Speak until your shadow loses its name. Speak until fear stops recognizing you. Speak until you forget the old life you were hypnotized into living. This is not magic, it is spiritual memory. You are remembering who you've always been, and every word is a torch lighting the path back home. So speak, loud, fierce, unapologetic. Speak until you become. You think they had more talent. You think they had better timing. You think they had luck, connections, momentum, favor, number. They just didn't stop. That's it. And you've stopped too soon, too often. You plant the seed, then dig it up when it doesn't sprout by morning. You post the first video, then delete the second because no one clapped. You show up for a week, but the mirror didn't change. So you retreat. But kings are not crowned in the first season. They are forged in the last one, the one everyone else walked away from. Let me say this in blood. Persistence is your second birth. The moment you stop giving up on yourself, the day you say, I will not leave this battlefield until I win or die standing, not because it feels good, not because it's working yet, but because you are no longer interested in the addiction of starting over, you are done with false rebirths. You are done with chasing novelty. You are done pretending that failure means you weren't meant for it. Every king has walked through the valley of no response, of silence, of rejection, of being laughed at and looked over. But the only difference? He kept going. Persistence is not talent, it is not inspiration, it is spiritual stamina. And you need more of it. Every time you stop too early, you murder a version of yourself that was only a few steps away. That man, the one who had it, who built it, who tasted the reward, he was right there, but you turned around because the numbers didn't move, because the applause didn't come, because the reward didn't meet your deadline. Let me tell you something brutal. You are not in charge of the timing. You are only in charge of showing up every day, every storm, every silence. Persistence doesn't ask for signs. It becomes the sign. It says, even if nothing happens today, I show up anyway. Even if the work feels invisible, I remain visible. Why? Because repetition is not wasted. It is sacred. Every rep compounds. Every dull moment sharpens you. Every unseen action is stacking behind the scenes like a dam ready to break. And when it does, they'll call you overnight success. They'll say, where did he come from? But you'll know. You came from the dark. You came from the dirt. You came from the days you showed up when no one saw you. That's the birthplace of every king. That's where persistence becomes identity, not motivation, mandate. You don't do it because it feels good. You do it because it's who you are now. You are a finisher, a completer, a closer, and you prove it with your footsteps, not once, but again and again and again, until the doors break, or you do. But there's one last truth you must wear like armor. You will have days where nothing moves, where nothing lands, where your faith feels foolish. Persist anyway. You will have months where you question your path, where doubt feels like your new language, where every step feels heavier than the last. Persist anyway, because persistence is the only vow that life cannot ignore. It's not about how loud you start, it's about how long you last. Because every man begins, every man dreams, every man tastes excitement, but only the anointed persist. And anointing doesn't come through approval, it comes through pressure. You are being shaped by every moment you want to quit but don't. That's where the steel is formed. That's where the third eye opens. That's where destiny starts calling you by your real name. Not motivated, not inspired, but unyielding. You must break the lie that you need to feel something to do something. You don't. You move and the feeling comes later. You build and the clarity comes later. You persist and the crown comes after the calluses. This is how legends are made. One more try than everyone else. One more day when it didn't make sense. One more breath when doubt wrapped around your chest. So don't stop, not today, not ever again. You've already died too many deaths in the middle. You've already buried too many dreams because you feared the dark. But the dark was the womb, and persistence is how you are born again. The lone wolf myth is killing you, quietly, elegantly, proudly. You walk like you don't need help. You speak like you've got it handled. You struggle in silence and call it strength. But strength without support is a setup, and what you've been calling independence is just disguised pride. Let's tear this open. You were not built to carry the entire war on your back. Even kings had councils. Even warriors had tribes. Even prophets had disciples. And you've been trying to climb the mountain alone while bleeding from the inside out. Enough. You are not weak for needing alliance. You are wise for building one. Because true power isn't found in solitude. It's forged in brotherhood. The mastermind is that brotherhood, the sacred alliance of shared vision, shared fire, shared fight. It's not about having friends. It's about building a council, a circle of men who speak your language and sharpen your edge. Because one man on fire can light a torch, but a room of burning men, that's a revolution. But first, you have to let go of the ego that says, I don't need anyone. That voice is fear, and it ends tonight. Let's go deeper. The mastermind is not a hangout. It's not about comfort. It's not about feeling good. It's about elevation. It's a council of fire, a circle of high responsibility, men who hold each other to the edge of greatness, men who don't let you lie to yourself, men who mirror your blind spots, men who remind you who you said you were when your doubt starts talking louder than your discipline. This isn't therapy. This is strategy. Because when the enemy is self-sabotage, you don't need sympathy, you need structure. You need men who have been to war and still show up armored. You need voices that say, get up, sharpen that blade. Burn the old version of you we're watching. Because when you're alone, your excuses sound spiritual. But in the mastermind, they sound like lies. And you start waking up. That's what borrowed fire does. It ignites your own. You stop waiting to feel strong because someone in the circle reminds you you already are. You stop shrinking around weakness because the standard rises when you're no longer the highest man in the room. You think you've hit your ceiling number? You've just been breathing your own recycled air? Step into a room with warriors and watch how your lungs expand. This is not suggestion, it's law. The lone wolf dies in the cold. The pack survives the storm. You choose. But there's still one truth you haven't fully claimed. The mastermind is more than accountability. It's more than shared goals. It's more than emotional support. It is strategic soul alignment, a spiritual contract between chosen men who agree to see each other's destinies as sacred. Not competitors, not copies, not background noise, all kings, all carrying different swords but building the same kingdom from different towers. When one man wins, he pulls the rest. When one man bleeds, he does not bleed alone. This is the end of isolation. This is the rebirth of sacred brotherhood. So gather your counsel carefully, intentionally, not the loudest men, not the most popular, the most aligned, men who live in decision, men who don't speak in theory but in war stories, men who value truth over ego. And when you find them, commit, show up, pour in, listen hard, speak real, challenge, sharpen, hold, honor. Because when a mastermind is built with blood, it becomes the forge of kings. And the man who surrounds himself with fire doesn't just survive longer, he rules faster. So say it out loud. I no longer climb alone. I no longer hide my fire. I build with those who burn like I do. I sharpen. I rise. I surround. I belong to a brotherhood of becoming. This is your new code. Lone wolves were never the legend. They were the lesson. The empire was always built by many hands. One vision. One vow, one flame multiplied. This is the mastermind. Go build yours and burn together. You've been chasing freedom like a mirage. More time, more money, more comfort, more ease, but you don't need more escape. You need more structure, because what you call freedom has turned into a cage with velvet walls, sleeping in, skipping steps, following mood, chasing dopamine. You think that's living? That's decay? That's spiritual erosion dressed up as modern life. Let me cut the lie clean. Discipline is the father of freedom. Not motivation, not passion, not pleasure. Discipline, the unsexy, unskippable ritual of becoming. You don't find freedom in less effort. You find it in aligned effort repeated with devotion. You think you're avoiding pain, but all you've done is trade sacred suffering for pointless pain, the pain of regret, the pain of staying the same. The pain of explaining your life to yourself every night like a man still hoping the mirror will lie for him. But mirrors don't lie. They reflect practice. And your life right now is the echo of your discipline or your avoidance. It's time to choose again, this time with honor. Let's go deeper. In the Temple of Warriors, discipline is not punishment, it's worship. Every rep, a prayer, every routine, a ritual, every sacrifice, a vow, because freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the mastery of self. And you cannot master what you refuse to train. So wake up early, not because you have to, but because you are the kind of man who commands his morning. Eat with intention, not because you're dieting, but because your body is a sacred tool for war. Move your body not for image, but because your spine is a symbol of your will. Write it down. Track your time. Build the system. Repeat the steps, not for results, for identity. You don't do the discipline to get free. You do it because it proves you already are. You are no longer ruled by mood. You are no longer seduced by chaos. You are no longer a citizen of disorder. You belong to order, the ancient holy kind, the kind that built pyramids and forged empires while lesser men slept in. You say you want peace? Then build a rhythm so sacred that chaos can't find a foothold. That is discipline. That is freedom. But there's still a deeper layer you must claim. Discipline hurts. Good. That means it's working, because nothing sacred is born without pain. And every repetition done in silence etches a new man into your bones. You want to feel better? Feel nothing. Do it anyway. Train when you're tired. Write when uninspired. Serve when unnoticed. Sacrifice without applause. Because you are no longer here to be seen, you are here to become. And becoming requires pain. Not emotional pain. Not drama. Holy pain. The kind that forges steel from softness. The kind that breaks laziness like a stick across your back. The kind that makes you proud of yourself when no one is watching. Discipline is not restriction. It's revelation. It shows you who you were always meant to be. Beneath the noise, the addiction, the delay. It's not about the schedule. It's about the spirit behind the schedule. It's about becoming the kind of man whose very routine is a rebellion against mediocrity. Because freedom is not a beach. It is not a bank balance. It is not passive. It is built brick by repeated brick under pressure, under resistance, under the watch of no one but God. So today, you choose again. Do you want soft escape, or do you want sacred order? Do you want momentary relief or eternal pride? Do you want freedom that fades with mood, or freedom that stands even when the storm hits? You already know, so stand up. Lace your boots, sharpen your will, and return to the altar. Because every repetition is not just practice, it is prayer, it is proof. And the man who repeats with devotion walks free, not because he avoided discipline, but because he became it. Discipline is the Father, freedom is the Son. And today you rise as both. There is a voice inside you that does not shout, it does not beg, it does not argue, it waits. It waits for the noise to die. It waits for the fear to quiet. It waits for you to remember how to listen. This voice is not thought. It is not logic. It is not inherited. It is you beneath the noise. This is your sixth sense, the sacred compass buried beneath reaction, the voice of your divine strategy, the whisper of what comes after the mind. But you've been listening to the wrong things, to numbers, to advice, to panic, to the crowd. You've been told to think louder, move faster, speak more. But the sixth sense doesn't respond to volume. It waits for stillness, because stillness is signal. And every real answer you've ever needed has been hiding in the silence you avoid. You are not lost. You are just loud. You are not broken. You are just distracted. And the whisper inside you is growing restless. Let's go deeper. The sixth sense is not a feeling, it is a knowing. Not frantic, not rushed, not emotional. It comes like the tide, slow, certain, patient. And it lives inside every man who is brave enough to stop running. Because intuition is not something you get. It's something you return to. It's the part of you that has already seen what your eyes haven't reached yet. You ever had that moment when your body knew something before your mind did? When you walked into a room and your spirit tensed? When you heard a voice that sounded friendly but something in your gut said, don't trust that? That was the sixth sense. That was your soul reading reality before your brain caught up. But you've trained yourself to override it. With strategy, with second guessing, with asking too many people who don't even know themselves. You've learned to obey the outer world and ignore the inner kingdom. But that kingdom is where your real answers live. Your direction, your timing, your warning signs, your divine edge. You don't need more opinions. You need more access to the sacred intelligence within. And to access it, you must go where most men refuse to go. Into the silence. Not with music, not with scrolling, not with distractions pretending to be productivity. Silence the kind that makes you squirm at first, then reveals the voice that never left you. But there's more to this power than knowing. You must learn how to move with it. Once you hear the sixth sense, you must learn to obey it. That's where power begins. Because it won't always make sense. It won't always come with explanation. It won't always align with what's trending. But it will be true. And truth doesn't ask for approval. The whisper will say, start now. Leave the room. Speak less. Move cities. Call that person. Say no to what looks perfect. Say yes to what terrifies you. And if you ignore it, life becomes fog again. Because when you don't move with the whisper, the noise returns. The sixth sense is like a shy prophet. It speaks once, clearly, and then it disappears until you prove yourself ready to hear again. This is not mysticism. This is mastery. You are not a machine. You are a spirit in armor, and your intuition is your spiritual GPS. It will guide you through storms that logic cannot navigate, but only if you stop looking outward for things that only live within. So here is your new command. Return to the silence daily, not as an escape, but as an initiation. Sit with your spine straight, your jaw unclenched, your mind willing to be nothing, and in that nothing the whisper will speak. It may come as a word. It may come as a vision. It may come as a sense of now. And when it comes, do not doubt it, do not delay it, do not dilute it with fear. Move, build, break, obey, because this is the voice of the part of you that's already seen the finished story, the part of you that knows which door leads to destiny and which one leads to delay. It is not a guess. It is not a feeling. It is your edge, your secret weapon, your divine radar. And it only speaks in silence. So carve the silence, protect it like a temple, visit it like a king returning to his throne. Because the more you listen, the louder it becomes. And the man who walks by his whisper becomes unstoppable. The sixth sense is not some rare gift. It is your original compass, buried beneath noise, waiting to be heard again. So close your eyes, shut the world out, still your breath, and listen. Not to the world, not to the fear, not to the doubt, to the voice that's always been yours. The whisper inside the storm, the ghost of your future calling you home. You've heard the call, you've felt the fire, now it's time to become it. This is no longer theory. This is war. No more watching, no more reading, no more waiting for the right season. The season is now, and this is your initiation. 60 days. No exit, no excuse, no compromise. You're not here to try. You're here to transform. This is the mental rebirth challenge. Not a routine, not a trend, a commandment. Every day for 60 days, you will face yourself like a soldier. You will rise like a warrior. You will endure like a king in the forge. Because every man wants to be fire, but few are willing to burn for it. You will. And this challenge is the flame. Listen closely. Your instructions are not negotiable. 1, wake before the world. Your day begins before the noise, before the scrolling, before the requests. You rise when others sleep because kings prepare in silence, no snooze, no softness. First hour belongs to you in stillness, in strategy, in silence. 2, speak your becoming every morning and night. Recite your chosen identity aloud. With fire, with no hesitation. Autosuggestion is not optional, it is your reprogramming. You do not repeat who you were, you declare who you are. 3, move with pain train daily, physically, mentally, spiritually, not for image, for edge. Push the body so the mind obeys. Even if it's 20 minutes you sweat to remember you're alive. 4, 1 hour of sacred work. Each day, carve 1 hour for deep, focused, undistracted building. No tabs, no messages, no split attention. This is your sword hour. The time you sharpen your future with absolute intensity. 5, no poison enters. No mindless scrolling. No junk media. No voices of fear, gossip, or chaos. Guard your temple like it holds gold because it does. Silence the static. Protect your inputs. 6, complete 1 daily promise. Each day make 1 clear promise to yourself. 1 task, 1 vow, 1 strike, and complete it. Not for the task, for the integrity. You are retraining your nervous system to believe your word is law. 7, end the day in command. Before sleep, review your actions. Did you lead or follow? Did you obey the fire or the fear? No shame, only strategy. Journal it, study it, and adjust for war. These are your pillars. 7, daily, without fail. They are not punishment. They are refinement. Because this is not a challenge for the body. It's a rebirth of the mind. But the final piece is what binds it all. You will want to quit. That is expected. But quitting is not allowed. There is no day 43 breakdown. There is no bad week on day 17. There is only honor or retreat. This challenge is not about perfect execution. It is about sacred effort, spiritual consistency. Your emotions are not the authority here. Your word is. And every day you show up even trembling, even tired, even doubting, you bury the weaker man who lived before this. Let him die. Because the man who finishes this challenge will not be the one who started it. He will walk different, speak different, decide different. Why? Because he earned command of himself. And once you have command of yourself, you are untouchable. So here is your oath. Write it, sign it, say it daily. The warrior's oath. I vow to complete all 60 days without retreat. I vow to honor every commandment, even when unseen. I vow to lead myself with fire, not emotion. I vow to protect my mind like a sacred weapon. I vow to finish what I start and become the man who never bows to weakness again. This is your scroll. This is your path. This is your rebirth. You are not hoping anymore. You are becoming. One day, then another, until the world no longer recognizes you, but you finally do. The challenge begins now. No countdown, no applause, no backup plan, just you, the commandments, and the war. Welcome to the fire.